Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Friday, November 8th. As of right now, I'm not going to talk about the Trevor Lawrence situation. Yesterday, NFL.com, Ian Rappaport suggests that it's unlikely that Trevor Lawrence will play on Sunday against the Vikings. We talked about that. Press Taylor said Trevor is doing everything he can to get ready for that game, everything within his power to play, and he's day-to-day. This morning, first thing in the morning, NFL.com drops an article saying that Trevor Lawrence is out. He's been ruled out. Now that article has disappeared. So I don't know what's going on there. What I do know is that the Jaguars coaching staff has completely lost the plot. They are playing, I don't know what they're playing, while the rest of the league is playing chess. I saw someone on Twitter suggest rock, paper, scissors, checkers, whatever game you want. Whatever game that requires very little thinking and very little strategy, while the rest of the league is playing expert level chess, right? That's what's happening right now. And I've got 5 signs, maybe 6 actually. I don't know. I've never been good at counting, but math was not my forte in school. English major. So we're going to get into some of this stuff because it's just astounding at this point. And I know that there's a lot of folks out there that still kind of want to blame the players. Early on this year, I thought that there was legitimate arguments on both sides about this thing. And yeah, the players have not executed to the best of their ability, but I think when every player on the team is playing not quite as well as they should consistently, that's a sign of coaching. So anyways, we're going to dive into this. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. We just dropped our Jacksonville sweatshirt, crewneck sweatshirt. Put a picture up here for you. Those things are available for pre-order only through next Tuesday. You can also become a channel member here on YouTube. Shout out to all our channel members. Really appreciate y'all's support. Means the world. Helps keep this thing going, right? So, getting into these 5 signs or 6 signs, whatever it may be, that the Jaguars coaching staff has lost the plot. They don't know what they're doing. This is incredible. Nakobe Dean, who intercepted that last pass by Trevor Lawrence, and a lot of folks have said, Trevor Lawrence, that was horrible. How can you throw that? That was an awful throw. Definitely not a great throw. But Nakobe Dean knew what play the Jaguars were going to run. Mic'd up on the sideline, running back stutter go. I've been waiting for it all week. Goes out and makes the play. And yeah, that is a staple of the Jaguars' red zone offense. And according to Travis Holmes and my recollection, it has never worked. Not once. Yet they continue to run it. And defenses continue to shut it down, probably because they know it's coming. That is egregious. It's embarrassing. Nakobe Dean, very smart football player, very good young football player. I was really high on him coming out of Georgia. Had some injuries year 1, playing some good ball. Nakobe Dean, a second-year player, knew what Doug Peterson was going to call. Doug Peterson or Press Taylor, whoever the heck it was, right? And that's not the only part of that play that was incredibly disappointing. But we'll save that for later because it ties into something else going on. But when you have second-year players knowing exactly what play you're going to run, I don't know how you're supposed to win. From a personnel standpoint, I don't know how your players are supposed to win and execute when the opponent knows what you're going to do before you do it. Everybody in the NFL is talented. If the opponent knows what you're doing, you're not going to beat them. Unless you're like Randy Moss, right? Like, unless you're just one of those guys that it doesn't matter. So, and that's rare to find. So that's just awful, embarrassing. Now, this is also just like, what? I noticed it yesterday when we talked to Press Taylor. I asked Press Taylor about Brian Thomas Jr.'s usage last week and moving forward. Doug Peterson on Monday said that the Jaguars were not prepared for cloud coverage on Brian Thomas Jr. Basically, they were not prepared for them to try to double, in essence, Brian Thomas Jr. Press Taylor yesterday says that they were prepared for that and they were ready for it. Here's what Doug had to say on Monday after the game. He said, on third down as they had a corner and a safety, so they basically doubled BT. It's hard to throw the ball over there to a guy that's doubled, so you have to go to other places with the ball. So that was part of their game plan. What we had seen during the week in scouting and all of that in situations, they didn't necessarily present those coverages, so you have to make adjustments throughout the game. Doug Peterson just said that when they were scouting the Philadelphia Eagles, they did not see that. They didn't present those coverages. They weren't prepared for it. They had to make adjustments throughout the game. Here's what Press Taylor said yesterday on cloud coverage. That's something that Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio has done forever. Cloud's your best receiver, the guy that provides the explosive element. So there was no surprise to that. What? Your head coach, who's also your top offensive guy, is saying they weren't prepared for it. Your offensive coordinator is saying they were prepared for it. This is befuddling, bewildering. They've lost the plot. They don't know what the hell's going on. Then you have this dang he said about Eric Armstead. Like, this is pathetic. Eric Armstead is saying that the Jaguars are the ones that wanted him to play defensive end. Verbatim, he said the coaching staff, talked about their plan and wanting to play me at end. Ryan Nielsen says when he got here, he talked about wanting to play end. So it's like, where is this coming from? Who wants him to play end? And why isn't he just on the interior where he should be? What? Excuse me? I'm not following. Then you've got the whole rock, paper, scissors debacle, which Ryan Nielsen was asked about repeatedly yesterday and basically gave non-answers. Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen said that they played rock, paper, scissors to see who was going to go on the field the drive before, or the drive that Trayvon Walker scored his touchdown. And so obviously, playing rock, paper, scissors is not any way for a coaching staff to decide who should be on the field in a given moment. Ryan Nielsen, gave non-answers. He said, I'm sure if Josh Hines-Allen had won that rock, paper, scissors, Trayvon Walker would have told him, no, he's not supposed to go out on the field because it was Trayvon Walker's time to be out there. It sounded like he just didn't have an answer, quite frankly. Why are we talking about leaving this up to the players on the rotation? Like, Trayvon Walker wouldn't have let Josh Hines-Allen go out there. What is that answer? Makes no sense. Now, got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em and a whole lot more. You can use code DuvalDaily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. You can use their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. This season, Underdog is running specials, promos, and bonuses almost every single day. Like Profit Boost, you can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. There's tons of options for Jaguars and Vikings to look at. Maybe you just want to go with the ground game because you don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence. You want to pick a running back like Tank Bigsby to score a touchdown. Underdog has vulture protection to rescue your pick'em. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 21+, Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So getting back to this coaching staff and this is no disrespect to these guys because they are incredibly hardworking. I think that each of them earned the right to be coaches and be at the spot that they're in, but for whatever reason, they have lost the plot here in Jacksonville. They have lost their way. Bottom line. Doug Peterson, in my opinion, strategically has no idea how to manage a second half. So we can go back to that final play against Philly. Offensive play. If Dearness Johnson catches that pass and scores a touchdown and the Jaguars go up, guess who's going to win that football game? The Philadelphia Eagles. Why? Because they only need a field goal. And they have 1:42 left. And the Jags defense ain't stopping them in key situation, right? We've seen that all year. Seen it all year. Mismanagement at the end of the game. Miami, as soon as you go in the fourth quarter, you just run the ball the entire time. Till the last couple plays where you're desperate and you have to throw, and Miami knows you have to throw. I mean, they were incredibly predictable. New England, instead of going up 3 scores, you go for it on 4th down for the opportunity to continue to try to move the ball and potentially score a touchdown, instead of just taking a chip shot field goal to put you up, again, by 3 scores, 3 possessions. And that didn't bite them in the butt because the Patriots were not ready to compete. But if they were playing a good team, they would have lost that game based on that decision alone. Houston, again, you go for it with an asinine play call. Quarterback draw from the gun on 4th and 1. Instead of kicking a field goal, strategically playing the scoreboard, right? Because if you kick a field goal and then the Houston Texans go down and score, all you have to do at the end of the game is get another field goal. But instead, you go for it on 4th down, you don't get it, and then you have to go score a touchdown to win the game. Like, it's easier to get 2 field goals than it is to get touchdowns. Bottom line in this league. And strategically, from a scoreboard standpoint, into the game, that's what they should have done. So Doug just does not know how to manage a second half. I mean, and then we can also talk about the offensive play calling on both sides is awful. It's awful. Ryan Nielsen, right now, he just has no clue how to get this defense playing better, more consistent ball. The end of the Packers game was a complete embarrassment. That was the worst one, but it's happened throughout the year where they just can't stop teams. I mean, they have like the worst defense in the NFL. And they do not have the worst defensive talent in the NFL. I can promise you that. Look, Ronald Darby played very well for a good team last year. He's not playing well because he's not on a good, well-coached team. Bottom line. Eric Armstead played awesome when he was in the correct position last year. Andre Sisco, he played a lot better last year. Everybody at safety played a lot better last year. So yeah, I mean, the Ryan Nielsen experiment, which I admittedly was very excited about, even with the idea of rotations. I always did say, though, said it way before the season started, if/when the Jaguars defense does not perform the way people expect, the rotations and Eric Armstead playing edge is going to be the downfall of Ryan Nielsen from a public perception standpoint. And that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. And guess what? When Ryan Nielsen, and when I was talking about the end of the Packers game, I'm talking about like the whole second half when Malik Willis is in at quarterback. You know, you just refuse to tackle Josh Jacobs. You refuse to cover. Ryan Nielsen fell on the sword at the end of that game saying, look, that final play, they got the Packers into scoring range. He said it was on me. It was on me. And my final point is that Doug Peterson, sometimes he says, you know, we have to coach better, but he will never take a individual moment and own it. He never does it. It's always like, well, if Trevor had thrown the ball a little bit farther, well, if this player did that, right? If we didn't drop the ball, if Travis Etienne didn't fumble, Travis Etienne didn't drop the pass that got intercepted. I think he legitimately thinks it's not his fault that this football team is failing. And it might not be all his fault, but if you are the head coach of a team that has players that have all played way better than they are playing right now, when you are the head coach of a football team that opposing defenses consistently know what you are doing, just saying. I think that this league has passed by the Jaguars offensive coaching staff. Bottom line. I really do. It's unfortunate. And, you know, I respect the heck out of Doug Peterson. I thought when they got here, he was the right hire. I still think what he did to get this franchise back out of the basement was very impressive. And to get these players feeling like they could compete and getting them to compete. And they still are competing. But you got to get over the hump. And instead of getting over the hump, they've fallen back down the hill a little bit, right? So there's just so many reasons that this thing's got to end. But that's my thoughts. Appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.